It seems like just yesterday I was telling you that the Pittsburgh Steelers had brought in like 20 guys of their top 30 visits, and the San Francisco 49ers had brought in one, Harold Fannin Jr., a guy I like, but not good enough. And the 49ers now are starting to make moves, bringing in guys left and right, it seems. And I'm excited to tell you about the latest ones today. Hit subscribe if you're looking for daily 49ers content. But let's jump straight in. This is kind of how it started earlier today. This is the updated version of the top 30 visits. There's actually one name not on this list, and by the time this recording gets to you, there might even be another one if I'm totally honest. But of course, you can see Mykel Williams, Norman-Lott. Those were two that were added today. Kelvin Banks, Miles Frazier, TJ Sanders, Landon Jackson, Jalen Conyers, Mike Green, and Harold Fannin Jr. And depending on who your source is and where you're getting that information, this list probably looks slightly different one way or the other. That's irregardless of what we're going to talk about today, because we're going to get into the biggest ones of today, which I think is exciting to talk about, starting with this guy here. Norman-Lott played at ASU from 2020 to 2022 before transferring to Tennessee. His coach there was Herm Edwards, a good friend of John Lynch, who has recommended players for the 49ers in the past, most notably Brandon Aiyuk. Okay, so what do we think about Norman-Lott? 49ers 30 visit Norman-Lott has the highest pass rush win rate among defensive tackles in this 2025 draft. Norman-Lott was at 18.9% pass rush win rate. Norman-Lott weighs only 291, but has excellent explosion or get off, however you want to say that, 31.5-inch vertical. What do you guys think about Norman-Lott? This hit before the other two guys I'm going to talk about in a second here, but only just maybe 45 minutes to an hour before the other news was breaking. And so it's so clear the 49ers are they're making moves now. They're bringing guys in. They're getting all the guys they're most interested in are coming in right now. This from Matt Barrows. Tennessee defensive tackle Norman-Lott has 930 visits, including the 49ers. Norman-Lott's game is built on quickness, making him a good fit for Chris Kocurek, making him a good fit for a lot of what a wide nine system calls for. But yes, of course. All right, so we're good there, right? That's Norman-Lott. We're going to come back to some of what the scouts are saying about some of these guys, but I want to get through the guys first, because I realize if I spend too much time talking about Norman-Lott, you guys might miss out on some of the other stuff later if you don't finish the video. So I'm going to keep going. I forgot about this from David Bonilla of 49ers Web Zone. Over his 5-year college career, Norman-Lott totaled 89 tackles, 17 for loss, 13.5 sacks, and 2 passes defensed. His 2 seasons at Tennessee accounted for 44 tackles, 10 for loss, and 9.5 sacks. An absolute monster. PFF ranks Norman-Lott as the number 9 interior defensive lineman in their big draft board, but number 66 overall. While he earned a 69.4 overall grade in 2024, his 81.6 pass rush grade was a career best. So, PFF is not rating him as highly as what some of his stats might suggest, what you might want to believe about him. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to get into strengths and weaknesses on these individuals here. A little bit later, I want to get to some other guys, because shortly after we learned about Lott, then we learned about Walter Nolen and Mykel Williams officially. There were some rumors out there for a while, but this was official now. Ole Miss defensive tackle Walter Nolen, one of the draft's top players at his position, is visiting the Bengals today, source said. He's also had the Cowboys, the Panthers, and heads to Cardinals and 49ers after that. So he's on his way. In addition to Norman-Lott, first-round prospects Mykel Williams and Walter Nolen are scheduled to visit with the 49ers per sources. We have a fuller list of analysis next week, so we can be on the lookout for Walter Nolen, for Matt Barrows' analysis later in The Athletic. But if you're familiar with these guys' names here, Mykel Williams and Walter Nolen, you should not be surprised, because these guys are showing up, for 49ers at least, they're showing up all the time in 49ers mock drafts. Like, it's all the time. So these are guys that are linked with the 49ers often. These are guys that the 49ers are obviously interested in. And this is only confirmed by the top 30 visit. There's a lot of discussion around in the world in general about these top 30 visits and what they mean and what they don't, right? What they don't mean is a guarantee that the team's going to draft him. What they do mean is that the team is serious enough about drafting him that they're going to go out of their way to bring them in, to learn as much as they can about them, to ask them more questions and get to know them on a personal level, to show them the facilities, do all of that stuff and see where things jive, because these are guys they're strongly considering drafting. And historically, the 49ers have drafted high percentage from their top 30 visits. Is that the right way to say that? I don't know. By comparison, they do more than other teams. Okay, let's get into, found another David Bonilla article, coming out like an hour later, which he was just killing it today, talking about both of these guys. Let's start with Walter Nolan. Nolan spent 2024 season at Ole Miss after transferring from Texas A&M. He posted a career-high 48 tackles, 14 for loss, 6.5 sacks, and 3 passes defensed. According to Sports Reference, over his 3 collegiate seasons, he tallied 11.5 sacks. Nolan is becoming a popular mock draft choice for the 49ers because of his quickness and run defense, Matt Barrows recently wrote. Like Mason Graham, he's a little smaller than the prototypical defensive tackle. Nolan is 296 pounds with 32.5-inch arms, and he wasn't as productive in college as Oregon Derek Harmon, who's another guy, if depending on where you look, the 49ers have met with him. So that's an interesting one too. Williams recorded, now we're talking about Mykel Williams. I probably should have put a picture of Mykel Williams on there. Williams recorded 67 total tackles, 23 for loss, 14 sacks, 4 passes defense, and 3 forced fumbles across 3 seasons at Georgia. Per Sports Reference, 5 of those sacks came in 2024, a year in which an ankle injury likely hampered his production. Let me get to one last comment on there, talking about Matt Barrows. He's expected to be the second defensive end off the board for after Penn State's Abdul Carter. Season-long ankle injury likely sank Williams' production, 5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss last season, but his size and relentlessness should serve him well in the NFL. Drafting a defensive end early could be the answer for the 49ers' long-running musical chairs situation at the position. Not only that, it could be the answer for what the 49ers absolutely must do in the draft. Like, every time I try to talk myself out of it must be a defensive end, I come back to it's got to be a defensive end. And I know that's not true. I know it. Because you can look at depth and you can say, hey, this is a deep draft, which means that you should go and get those guys because they're so good and they're going to be going early. And you can also look at it the other way, which is the way I look at it, is this is a deep draft. So these guys, there's great talent that's going to be available later in the draft. However you want to look at it, that's fine. For me, it's so hard because the more that I study all of these players, the more that I think, dude, I can't think about passing on a defensive end and watching these guys go off the board one by one, and then feeling like we could have drafted him. We did that last season. We've done that. I mean, you always do that in the draft, but boy, it feels because of our particular need, because we have basically just jettisoned out Leonard Floyd. It feels like we have to be going out for a defensive lineman heavy. We got to be going for somebody, right? Whether it's an edge or a defensive tackle, either way, these are great prospects that we're talking about right now. Speaking of great prospects that we're talking about right now, as we are how far away from the draft? We are 17 days. Let me tell you the strengths of just a couple of these guys so we don't make this video too long, okay? So let's start off with, let's see here, Omar Norman-Lott, okay? Just pulling up his draft prospect profile. Can trigger off the snap and disrupt blocking schemes with penetration. Inside hands bolster ability to play with upper body power. Rarely gives in and displays sudden disengagement to tackle. Plus short area athleticism and range to tackle. Pass rush fueled by quick, lively hands through the rep. I mean, there's just more and more and more coming off of this, okay? Bear with me. There's a point to all of this, okay? Here's another guy, okay? Let's talk about what we're learning about Mr. Walter Nolan from a prospect profile. Impressive playmaking production as an interior defender. Twitchy off the snap and into blockers with good pop. Power to punch and shove defenders aside to take over the gap. Can absorb double teams or play across blockers' face and into backfield. Outstanding body control to regain balance and make a play. Ability to pressure the pocket creates 3-down value. Okay, I just on and on and on. One more guy. We talked about Michael Williams. Here you go. Explodes out of stance and into blocks with force. Range and quickness to spill and chase or close down the backside. Covers ground quickly with his backside pursuit. More than 30% of his career tackles resulted in a loss. Quality get off to attack the high side of the rush. Uses tethered step and swipe move to infiltrate the pocket. Keeps long arms active for strip sacks and battled passes. All right, I just go on and on and on, all right? These are the guys that the 49ers are bringing in right now. And that's why I'm telling you that this is great. This is a great move. This is the 49ers going out there, and they're bringing in a lot of the right guys. When it was just 2 tight ends for a second, Jalen Conyers and Harold Fannin Jr., people were kind of little, what's going on over here? The 49ers are just bringing in tight ends. I still like it. Don't get me wrong. I just don't want to see the 49ers pick up Harold Fannin Jr. at pick number 11 or trade back and pick it up later in the first round. Like, I don't want either of those opportunities. I would like to see Harold Fannin Jr. be a 49er, but not at that cost. I want to see the 49ers go out there. Those traits that I just listed off on these 3 individuals, these are just 3 guys, right? I'm not even saying draft this guy or that guy or that guy in the first round, but please go get a monster. Okay? If it's not an Armand Membu or a Will Campbell, then put all of the energy on a defensive line and go get a monster like one of these guys who can absolutely disrupt plays, can absolutely be a game changer. An Alden Smith type. I was listening to Lockdown 49ers on my drive home, and they got me thinking. But anyway, the point is this. There's some great talent out there. The 49ers are bringing them in for top 30 visits, and they're showing a little bit kind of how they're thinking about the draft and some of these players that are sticking out to them. It doesn't guarantee anything. It just means that they're interested and they wanted to see a little bit more from that guy and a little bit more from that guy. So there you have it. Let me know in the comments what you think and who you think the 49ers should be drafting at that number 11 pick or a trade back scenario later in the first round. Whatever, you tell me what you think. I would like to see them make a big move at 11. I don't want to see them move the pick, even though I understand logically there's a lot of value you can get out of that. It's so hard for me to see this talent and to say no to it. That would be hard for me. But I look forward to seeing what you have to say in the comments as always, and I hope you guys have a fantastic evening.